We're back at Percona Live 2023 in Denver, and we now have Perry you're officially the MySQL lead at Microsoft, or?
Yes, Dave. Thanks for having me here. It's exciting to be here. My name is Parikshit, or you can call me Parik.
Perry.
I'm the product lead for Azure Database for MySQL and MariaDB service at Microsoft.
Okay. Microsoft many years ago was not very happy with open source products, so I'm happy to find that they're so well accepted and you're offering these services. How long has Azure and Microsoft been pushing MySQL and MariaDB?
MySQL and MariaDB and even Postgres, I think starting okay, let me tell you the story. 2017 was the year when we already had established SQL offering, Azure SQL DB, which is our flagship SQL Server product offering. And we were seeing a trend after being in the Azure business for quite a while. We started in Azure business in 2008. And 2016, 2017, we were seeing the trend. The customers who were moving to cloud were a lot from the open source background. And also our beloved CEO, Satya, who took the CEO position in 2014. And somewhere the new Microsoft psyche started to kick in somewhere around that time frame, 2015, 2016 time frame. So 2017 was a year where we were looking at the trends. We saw a strong correlation between customers who were moving to cloud were preferring open source software. And this is how the new Microsoft kind of starts to think, where the old Microsoft would have challenged the position and gone ahead with our own software. In fact, if it would have been old Microsoft, I wouldn't have been here. But the new Microsoft approached the problem saying that, you know what, let's first understand deeply why does customers look for open source databases? What is their motivation for open source databases? So few things which we picked up and learned talking to our customers and end users was, they love open source because of no licensing cost. They love open source because of the no vendor lock-in. Developers love open source because the code base is available for them to contribute, and they are not, they don't have to wait for the product team and go get into feedback, and they exactly know the solution. They can solve it by themselves. So we embrace this fact. We learned about this, and we said, you know what, it is important for us to make open source database service as a first class citizen on our platform. So 2017 is when we started the work on it. 2018 is when we launched our MySQL and Postgres offerings. And within a year, we also added MariaDB on that. We started also contributing to MariaDB Foundation. We also got into partnership with Percona. So we used all the opportunities we had to start to kind of learn about the community. I would also admit the fact that we don't know a lot about open source. We are learning, but I want to tell you this, that as a Microsoft person, we are embracing this with open heart. And this is where you would see this change all across the spectrum. We are talking in the context of databases, but you would see similar thing in Linux, in our contribution to Kubernetes, in AI, in all the broader spectrum as you see.
Cool.
Yeah.
So you're not just brand new to the scene. You've been doing this for 5-6 years. So
yes,
that's great.
Yes.
My microphone. Let me type that up. So are the majority of your folks running MySQL 5.7 or 8.0 or?
So if you would have asked me this question till last year, 5.7 was very dominant. And MySQL 8.0 was there was skepticism, but also the customers are frustrated by the breaking changes which were introduced in MySQL 8.0. As a cloud service provider, I have an additional pressure because as a managed service provider, I take ownership of maintaining the customer's server up to date, keeping this, making sure it's free of vulnerabilities, but at the same time, I cannot afford to break them. So I as a cloud service provider, we had our own challenges, and we had to take extra precautions during testing and stuff. But starting this year, I've seen a good uptick on the new applications starting on MySQL 8.0. They've also introduced some good features, to be fair and look at it from the all perspectives. So if customers start on new projects, they are looking at MySQL 8.0. Right now, I would still say there is a balance of like 60 to 70% is still 5.7, but 8.0 is picking up starting this year. And also end of life is a forcing function for many customers. But I would say the customers starting new projects are starting on 8.0. Yeah.
And you will support 5.7 past October for the customers that are...
We are supporting it because, again, we want to honor and respect customers' timeline, and we want to make sure they have the right time to react to it, and we don't pull the rug under them. So we would be supporting them past October.
Cool. So if I'm on-prem right now and I want to move to MySQL and Azure, how do I contact you? How do I do it?
Great question. So first is if you want to try MySQL on Azure, because I think most of the customers would try before you buy. There is a free MySQL offering. You can go to a URL which I don't remember at the top of my head, but if you search for Azure MySQL free, you will find that link. You will create a free account where you are not charged, and for 12 months you will have free access to MySQL where you can explore the features. Obviously, there are some restrictions around. There is 32 GB, and you can only provision one server. And once you like what you see and you prefer that, I think this is the right fit for me. I love the service. I love the features. The next thing you would want to do is migration. We're fully compatible with the open source tools which are available like MySQL dump. So logical backup and restore, because we are a PaaS service, we don't give access to physical files. So if you're taking Percona extra backup or physical files, we don't give access to that. You can't restore those files yet. Let me put that because there's been requests. Logical backup like MySQL dumper, MySQL dump. Those are all supported, but we also have our Azure data migration service where you can provide the source, you can provide the target, and it will do the job for you. So it will make sure it runs the migration for you, and it supports offline and online. So offline, the seeding is done using the logical backup solution, but you will experience downtime all throughout. But if you want to do an online migration, then we set up replication behind the scenes after seeding and make sure that you can do a cutover so you can have a minimal downtime failover and you can migrate to Azure. So the tools are available for you. And any customer want to reach out to us, there are 3 mediums I can think of. Ask Azure DB for MySQL at Microsoft.com is our email address. We would love to connect with customers. We also have our Twitter feed, Azure DB for MySQL. And we also have our YouTube channel where every monthly we do webinars, and customers can subscribe to that channel, listen to what our roadmap, or contact us in comments and other sections, and we can reach out to them.
Cool. Well, is there anything else before we wrap up that you'd like to mention? Or, hey, by the way, you don't know that we also do this.
Yes. Thanks for asking that. So one thing, being a managed service provider, we get a lot of tier 1 mission critical customers. And one of MySQL is popular in internet scale application, and let me kind of expand on that. We've seen a lot of online businesses like e-commerce, gaming, fintech relying on MySQL, and they are building new applications on cloud. And some of these applications need the scale, need low latency, because the latency of the database directly translates into their end user experience, and they need reliability. For that, we have launched a new offering called Business Critical Service Tier. So a Business Critical Service Tier provides the lowest latency in the market and provides the best price performance compared to other competitors in the industry. And we also have fast failover capabilities. So the failover times, in case if there is any kind of unplanned failover, the failover completes in around 30 to 60 seconds. And you can scale up to 96 vCores, or you can scale out up to 10 read replicas with each of them with 96 vCores. And on the storage side, you can scale up to 32 terabyte, and you can have auto scaling of IOPS up to 80,000 IOPS per server. So all these capabilities reduce the overhead from a customer perspective, where they can bring their tier 1 mission critical workload on our service, and then it's complete hands-on off experience, and they can focus on their business, running their e-commerce gaming workload, and trust their MySQL service on us. So that's our new offering.
Very impressive.
And yeah, we would love to kind of, it's already out there. It's generally available for customers. We also have a lot of customers consuming this. And if there is any customers who would want to like learn more, or if they have feedback, we would be happy to learn more from them.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for talking to us today, and I hope you enjoy the show.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Dave. Thanks for having me here.